Welcome to Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? This is your go-to source for practical advice and support when considering if a divorce is the right answer for you. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll uncover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here is your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Welcome to Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer podcast, where we discuss important issues when considering getting a divorce. It's a big decision, and so you're going to want to get as much information as you can. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and today we'll be talking a little about property division during a divorce and why a 50-50 split may not always be equitable. We all know that divorces are challenging and difficult processes to get through. And one of the biggest that we face can be dividing property and assets. I mean, you never know who wants what piece, what asset, how it breaks down, how it works in the long run. And a common misconception is that the division should be equal. A 50-50 split right down the middle, right? But the reality is that's not always the case. So let's take a look at a few reasons as to why this may actually not be a 50-50 split right down the middle. And the first reason is that it doesn't take into account the unique circumstances of each case. I mean, every divorce is different, just like every relationship is different, just like every couple is different on how they handle things. And so when it comes to dividing property and assets, one spouse, once again, may have a, preference for a certain asset over another. And there's always a lot of different pieces that need to be taken into an account to formulate, how the property division is going to take place. I mean, for example, if one spouse has primary custody of the children, they may need a larger portion of the assets to provide for the children's needs. Another reason that a 50-50 split may not work is that it doesn't consider the contributions made by each spouse during the marriage. An example of this is if one spouse was the primary breadwinner and the other took care of the home and the children. It may not be equitable to divide the assets equally. The court will consider contributions made by each spouse, including financial, non-financial, and homemaking contributions when dividing up property and assets. Lastly, a 50-50 split may not take into account any pre-existing agreements between the parties. If they have entered into a prenuptial agreement, let's say, or any other type of agreement regarding property division, the court will generally uphold these agreements unless they are found to be unfair or unenforceable. So, wrapping up here, a 50-50 division of property is not always equitable. And, the court's really looking for fair, not equal. And so they're going to take into account the unique circumstance of each case, contributions made by each spouse, and any pre-existing agreements when dividing the property. It is important to seek the advice of a qualified attorney to ensure that your rights are protected and the division of property is fair and equitable. Thank you for tuning into the Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer podcast. Don't forget, divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Join us next time as we discuss another important issue here on the podcast. Until then, stay informed and enjoy the day.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, Is Divorce the Answer? With Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. And remember to subscribe, like, and follow.